Hello, Emma. How are you?
Hi.
Can you hear me
I
okay?
I can hear you perfectly. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Despite everything that's going on around us, I'm actually feeling pretty nice and calm, which is a
Oh,
good way to start a Monday.
absolutely.
What day is it? When none of us are too sure at the moment, are we?
I know. What day is it? Well, it's lovely to see you, and yeah, thanks so much for coming on the podcast. I put a message up last night, just asking parents out there to throw some questions over. So I've got loads of things that we would love to cover with you today.
Right?
But yeah, thanks so much for coming on.
My pleasure.
So I guess the first thing that is probably a good place to start is basically with parents now that there's so many kids that are now at home and contained in a house and isolation. And I guess first of all, like as a family, as a parent, how would you recommend that parents navigate their way through now juggling working from home, being a teacher, managing kids, managing life, and this whole crisis as well?
Yeah, there's a lot going on in a very short pace, short time that's been happening to all of us here, and it's about, remember, we can't be expected to get all of those things correct straight away. This is a long process, in terms of the fact of working from home. I mean, that's a huge thing for a lot of people. That can be a real struggle. The fact that you don't have that commute in the morning to work, the fact that you don't have your colleagues around you to have a little bit of a chat and banter with or event with, just being stuck. Maybe your home office is also the place where your kids are also trying to do their learning. People all trying to make food at the same time. You might be in a busy household. You might not have a garden. You might be living just in the four walls that you have. So there's a lot for everyone to take on at the moment. So, I'm going to be talking, I guess, from a teacher's perspective, but also as a psychotherapist perspective as well. So I'll try throughout today's podcast to put those different hats on to give
Yeah.
some ideas.
Yeah.
Take things slow. You're not going to get this. You're not going to get this right first time. It's okay to make mistakes. Know what things are good for you in order to come to the table feeling good about yourself, feeling positive. Think about your self-care strategy as well, and yeah, be kind to your kids as well. They're going to be really unsure as to what is going on in the world. They're going to be thinking, why can't we go see our uncle? Why can't we go see our friends? Why did that lady, when we went to the park the other day, why did she run screaming because we were getting too close to someone else? These are all things that we're noticing and hearing and seeing happening in our communities, and our kids are going to be completely confused by all of this. Some are going to be worried as to do their family love them anymore because they're not getting that physical touch, and those hugs from the people around them who they normally do.
Yeah, and definitely. I mean, I've experienced it myself. I think we talked about this the other day. Is the fact that I was sort of sat meditating on a beach where nobody was. It was completely empty, and just came out of my meditation to a mum just screaming at her son, stay away from that lady, but like screaming at the top of her lungs. And I sort of opened my eyes, and there was this like 4-year-old boy stood about, I don't know, 3-4 meters away from me, but he looked terrified of me. And I was like, oh gosh, like what's the lasting, like how do parents navigate this? Because it's like, obviously, as a parent, you want to, number one, protect your child, but number two, protect other people. But then, at the same time, it's like, when all this is over, it's like, is there going to be lasting trauma? A kid's going to be, is it going to be extreme stranger danger? And kids are going to be terrified of contact and touching anybody outside of their immediate household. And I know like I said, a lot of my, our friends that we know, and a lot of my friends have kind of reached out, and they're just like, I just don't know how much to tell them without terrifying them. But at the same time, it's about keeping them under control when they are going out for like an hour a day or something like that. So I guess, like, what would be your advice in terms of how much, and obviously I know it would probably depend on their age range as well, but like how much do you tell kids? Like what should parents be telling them?
Yes. Yeah, this is a really difficult one, isn't it? Again, it's about the different
Sorry.
good. I'll try my best to, with both my teaching and my psychotherapy and also human being hat on here, that, we are going to have to think about, what age it is that we're talking to the kids about and what sort of language you're using, and getting them to realize that hopefully this is something that is short term. Hopefully it's not for the long term, but we need to put some changes in and just try some different ways of behaving and different ways of communicating with other people whilst we figure out what's going on here. There's a great, I'm not sure if I can share the screen with you, can't I?
Yeah.
So I'm going to show something here from the World Health Organization, which I think might be really useful. So just bear with me as I get this up. So this was something from the World Health Organization, which talks about how we can, as parents, talk to our children, have some healthy parenting skills in this time of the COVID-19 pandemic. So I'm just going to start sharing that screen in a second.
Hopefully, what could go wrong? Hopefully this is going to work, eh?
Fingers crossed. So, let me go. So can you see this at the moment, which is the World Health Organization? Right, so for those of you who are listening just audibly, this is from the WHO.int, World Health Organization website. If you just type in parenting in the time of COVID-19 and then put WHO in Google, this should take you to it. For those of you that are able to see this now, there's a range of different, very easy to digest, different things. So we've got like flyers almost, I guess, really. So I'm not going to go into all of them in detail, but I'll just give you an idea of what some of them are. So they talk about, how to have one-on-one time, setting aside time to spend with each of your children individually, as a group, those of you who maybe have more than one child, asking them questions, thinking about what you can do, ideas with your baby and your toddler. Then the second one talks about how to try keep it positive. Now, I know it's difficult in this time. There is a lot of anxiety and fear going around, and people are struggling. Adults, children, everyone, people in power are all struggling to keep it positive at the moment. But we really, really need to try and focus on looking after our self-care so that we can try and stay positive. I think one of the things that I've noticed, just as a kind of as an aside here, is that something really beautiful I've noticed is that, and I don't know if you've noticed this, Emma, as well, that people have been forced to slow down.
Yeah.
So we're no longer planning, I like to plan, I like to be organised. I was trying to plan all my holidays out and when I'm going to see my family back in the UK and all of this stuff and see friends. And I can't plan for a day in advance anymore because we don't know what the new rules and restrictions are going to be, and we don't know what this COVID-19 is going to end up causing. So people aren't planning as much in advance anymore. People can't go to their gym classes, their exercise classes. They can't go for their drinks, their dinners, all these different social things that they have planned in.
Their coffee.
But actually what's been really nice is that a lot of people I've been talking to and clients as well have been slowing down because they've had to. And with that, I'm finding people are so much more present. People are up for having an hour-long video chat or phone call, whereas before you'd be lucky if you get through to people because they're off running around trying to do 1,000 things, keeping their minds busy. And I think this is one of the things in terms of this post here about keeping it positive. It's about trying to find those positive things that are coming from this, because that's all we can do at the moment. Some of the other things that this slide talks about is, talking about the behavior that you would expect and would like to see from your children. Asking, do you behave when you're like this at school? They might tell a slight little fib, possibly, knowing some children. But, it's about trying to get them to setting those expectations and praising, and I'll talk about this a little bit more in terms of, praise, but praising your children when they do something well. As teachers, we are constantly running around the classroom saying, well done, you've got this right, fantastic, oh, great try, oh, well done, why don't you try this next? That idea of praise, even when children are maybe misbehaving a little bit or they're not focused, we'll try and praise some of the things they are doing, or we'll praise the children next to them who are doing really well. That brings those children to realise, oh, I might get a little bit of praise here. And part of that will also be with praise. There also sometimes has to be sanctions as well, similar to in school. When children haven't been trying their best, or they have been misbehaving, or they are deliberately, doing something which is going to harm themselves or someone else. we need to be sanctions involved with that. Some of those could be time out, some of those could be less screen time, some of those, parents, you'll have your own ideas around, what sort of sanctions and rewards you can give, but really focus on this praise. Praise can do wonders, and do wonders for the kids, not just their behavior, but their self-esteem. You might be teaching something or trying to teach something that is aimed at a general year 4 class, but as we all know, children learn at different rates. They learn differently. Some are more visual, some are more auditory, some are more kinesthetic, but they need to be doing things and handling things. And so there isn't a one size fits all. So we need to praise our children when they're doing things that they can do at their level correctly, and adjust. If it's too easy, find something more challenging. If it's too challenging, bring it down. We need to make sure these children don't feel that learning is something that is something that they're going to dislike, and they need to always get 100% in, for example. Yeah. Some of the other ones, I'll just quickly go through these before we move on, but this one here about structuring up. So this is really important. It's actually going to be the one main point I was going to start off with my teacher hat on, but routine is incredibly important. We need to think about what it's like for us when our routine's thrown out of whack. We'll sleep in, we'll then maybe press the snooze button, we'll stay in a little bit longer, maybe when we wake up we feel really lethargic, we're not ready to learn, we're not ready to work. Trying to keep routine as much as possible, creating a new routine and sticking to that as much as you can is going to be really important. If we think about the routine in a school, you'll have, morning, children get to socialise, have a bit of a play, we'll then have some activities, like really easy ones coming into the starting the day, then we'll have an assembly possibly, then it goes into the set structure of here's your literacy lesson, here's your numeracy lesson, here's your co-curricular session, and then there's recess, then there's nibble time, then there's more lesson times, then there's lunch, and honestly, one of the funny things is when I am in class, if I've forgotten to change the timetable in the morning, literally within a millisecond, those kids are right on top of me, because they like to know the routine for the day. They want to know what are they going to be expected to do, what's going to happen. If they don't, some of them might feel unsafe. They'll feel anxious because they don't know what's coming. So try to keep that routine as much as possible. Obviously, there are times you're going to need to be flexible. You might have a work phone call that you just have to take, and then so the schoolwork has to kind of take a bit of a break for a little bit, and that's fine. We've got to role model to our children that we do need to be flexible in life, and as much as routine is great and we need to keep that as much as possible, there are times we need to be flexible and not kind of get over anxious about things when that happens.
Brilliant. And so in the morning, would you kind of suggest with that structure is that it's implemented from the week? It's like, okay guys, so every day this week we're going to get up at X, we're going to do breakfast, we're going to get showered, we're going to get changed, should kids be getting out of their PJs into kind of school clothes or whatever that is? And then it's, is it like a in the morning thing, setting up the day, or would you sort of suggest setting up the week and saying this is what we're going to be doing Monday to Friday? There might be a couple of changes in there, like if mummy or daddy has to do some work, or mummy and mummy, or daddy and daddy have to work, or whatever. Is that something that you would sort of suggest, or is it easier just doing it day by day?
So I probably try and start off with trying to do it, keep it in line as much as possible for maybe 4 or 5 of the days out of the week. Set the standard high at the beginning to then see where you need to go, because things always come up. And so if you end up saying, oh, we might do this twice a week or 3 times a week, inevitably things are going to come up. And then that might end up being only 1 or 2 days that we're doing it. So I'd always suggest try and aim high, and then kind of say to the children, look, we'll reassess, we'll check in with how both of us are feeling. This is something really new. Maybe we can work out our own new fun routine and get the kids involved. Don't just say, right, we're doing this, and this. Ask the children. Say to them, what do you think would be a really great routine? Can you draw me up a timetable? Wow, you get to be the teacher today. Get creative, give them control to some degree and talk about it. And you'll find that lots of them will say, oh, well, in school we'll do literacy and maths, and then we'll have our nibble. And they say, oh, that sounds like a good idea, maybe we'll try that. And so you're doing it in combination with the children, so they don't feel like it's been forced upon them. Mm-hmm. I really like that you mentioned about not staying in your PJs and putting a school uniform on. This is actually really important. If we think about as adults, when we lounge around the house, on a day we decide to just hang at home and we stay in our PJs all day, as lovely as that can be for one day, if we're doing that constantly, we're just not getting ourselves in the mindset that we're transitioning from sleep time to breakfast time to learning time to play time. We need to try and imagine, because we're stuck in our houses. We might, it's only 2 people I think now are allowed out at a time together. Right. So being indoors is a very real factor for us at the moment. So trying to transition between those different activities is really, really important. For myself, when I'm not teaching, and if I've got my day of counselling and therapy, because I have my practice from home, if I just was to walk from the bedroom into the counselling room, my mind is not turned on and switched on into therapist mode. So I need to do something in order to do that. So by doing that, sometimes I'll take a walk around the block in order to then transition. Right now I'm going into work mode, Chris. And sometimes a ritual can be really good as well. I know I like to do that before and after clients to get myself into that mindset that this is therapy time, this is work time, and then transition into something else afterwards as well.
Yeah.
Don't be hard on yourselves. It's not going to happen easily, and some of you are going to have many children, and there's going to be tantrums, there's going to be tears, there's going to be all that sort of stuff. So with that, talk to your friends. Have WhatsApp groups that you and some other parents can just vent some stuff to, can share some positive stuff, things that have worked. You're not in this alone. You'll actually find that, I know some people are always so worried about reaching out because of fear of how they might look to their friends, but a lot of the time when someone does reach out, their friend is feeling exactly the same, and it's just thankful that one of you took that step to reach out.
Yeah.
So,
definitely, and I think that applies even more so. Like, my heart goes out at the moment to sort of single mums and dads out there, who've got 1 or 2 or 3 or however many children, because it's this is all on them. And so I think more than ever that just if you're any parent, if you're anyone, you can reach out. But I think especially if you're a single parent, like, I know there are lots of amazing groups on Facebook for single mums and single dads and things like that. So it's really reaching out to that network of supporters out there and people who are going through something similar to you and can relate and, probably share the same worries and anxieties and exhaustion as well.
Definitely. And, I like the fact that you mentioned about, different social media pages, because they can be invaluable at the moment. All I would suggest is know when too much is too much. So, for example, we can fall into that negative thinking pattern. We can follow a thread and someone's having a rant and this turns really negative, and that makes our own mindset go really negative. So just know about when to dip into that stuff, when to dip out. Think about, is that really a valid or reliable or trustworthy source? If not, maybe leave it. So dipping in and out of using that. But there's some great support that's out there.
Yeah.
There's actually a Facebook page which someone's recently started called The Kindness Pandemic. Mm-hmm. And it's all about people doing really lovely, nice things for each other to keep everyone's positivity and gratitude levels a little bit higher at this moment of need. So.
Yeah. So it's just about tuning into the positive. I think we've all seen enough of the news for now. And, I think like my rule is 15 minutes a day. That's kind of what I'm doing with the news. But I guess, also, again, just kind of coming back to sort of being around and the kids being exposed to, all that kind of stuff on the news and things like that as well. Is there any kind of advice you've got for that, for like when mum and, when parents should be kind of tuning into the news?
So what might be good is to look for child-friendly news programs that are available. So I'm pretty sure we've got one over here that's called Bite Size. I'm not 100% too sure on that. I'll have to double check that. We've also got News Round, which is in the UK, but you'll be able to stream it over here. And News Round was is news for children. So it'll be done in a more child-friendly, child language sensitive way. So I try have a look for things like that. That could be really useful. It might be a really good way to then explain, what is going on with this COVID-19 coronavirus that's going on, but doing it in a way as to not to scare them. So just remind them that this is important, and that yes, we do need to keep distance at the moment from people, but it won't be like this forever. It will get better. We just need time.
Yeah, cool. And sorry, I've sort of taken us off on a tangent, but let's get back to number 4, which was bad behaviour.
So bad behaviour, yes, and I think some parents might be realising some bad behaviour creeping up when they're at home with their kids all day. We definitely do see it as teachers a lot of the time. So it's about trying to really curb that early on. So like that modelling, what is good behaviour? What would good behaviour get you? What will happen if you are exhibiting some bad behaviour? That's where that praise and the sanctions come in there. Using consequences as well. Having warning systems. So that sometimes work. So after 3 warnings, if they're doing something that they shouldn't be, then that's a sanction or a consequence that comes from that. But also, don't be too harsh on them. They're used to sitting with their friends. They're used to having a little quick natter with their friends, sometimes mostly on task. They don't need to be completely focused on this piece of paper or the screen or the activity that it is that you're doing. We've got to think about attention spans here, because we're not going to be able to focus. They're not going to be able to focus for that time. They're completely thrown out of their environment. So yes, keep an eye on their behaviour and praise them when you need to and give them consequences when you need to, but give them a little bit of leeway as well.
Yeah. And I spoke to my friend, I'm not sure if you know him actually, my friend Stuart and Anna. They've got 2 little girls yesterday, and they were saying that part of the morning ritual that they've created is they all get up and they do an exercise video. There's a PT, a UK PT called Joey Wicks, and they've got their 7-year-old and 5-year-old doing Joey Wicks workouts with them in the morning, and they're like, sometimes they enjoy it, and then sometimes they're like, meh, and they go off. But it's actually, I guess if there were any benefits to this, it is really bringing that connection and that time with the family closer together, like immediate family.
Yeah, I really love that you've said that, because this is a time to look at those positives and think about, a lot of parents have to work. They don't see their children. Some don't see them in the morning before they go to school because they've already left for work. They don't come home till late at night. I know that's how it was with me and my dad. So being able to spend quality time with your children, this is something that lots of people crave. And we now have this opportunity, and yes, it's weird and it might be stressful because our routine's thrown out of whack, and we're not able to then do the things we would normally do. But this is an opportunity to really get to know your children. This is an opportunity to teach them the values that you've been wanting to teach them or wanting to instill in them. This is an opportunity for you to talk about what it was like for you at school. It's an opportunity for them to learn about you, and also a time for them to teach you. They're like, our kids are digital natives, in this era. They know so much more than we do, and they love to be the teacher. So ask them the question, show me how to do this, or show me this on how you would do that. They love that sort of stuff.
That's great. All the parents are going to come out of this as coders or
yeah.
Instagram experts.
I know that it's probably going to feel like a long day. We're used to our own routines. Going to work, going to the gym, whatever. Having the time away from the children so that you can come back and you are fresher for them, I guess, really, and full of energy. So your energy levels are going to dip, and it's tough looking after kids all day and getting them to try and learn, as well as feeding them, as well as dealing with any other issues that arise in the day whilst trying to keep your usual day-to-day or work things up. But just use this as an opportunity to get to really know them.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that. Awesome. So what's next?
So this I'd really brief. So this is more about for yourselves, really, but also for for the children, trying to keep calm and manage stress. We talk a lot about self-care in terms of the therapy setting, but also in the school setting as well. We need to think about what are the things that help keep us nice and calm mentally and physically, and help us relieve stress. So some of the things you'll hear a lot about are meditation. And I know some people go, oh, can't meditate, I don't know how to do it, I don't like it. I get it, because lots of us are the same when we first do it, believe me. But persevere, find the right ones, do them together, get the kids to choose some. Model to them that this is something that can be useful. Slowing down, focusing on the breath. You know, one of my favorite meditation apps is Insight Timer.
Mm-hmm.
It's a free version, but there's also a paid one. I'd highly recommend it. There's kids ones on there. There's like sleep time, bedtime story ones that are there to kind of like help them drift off. Some of the children will even we teach stress management and meditation and mindfulness in schools. So they'll actually be able to teach you some of the different things. I know there's one where it's about opening a flower. So, you know, open the flower for 5 seconds, counting the things as they open up, and then closing them again as you kind of exhale. And it's just, some of the kids will already know some of these things. So ask your children, what do you do to manage stress? What do you do to keep calm?
Oh, that's nice. Get them to teach you, hey?
Yeah, focusing on breathing. You know, if a kid is having a tantrum or a panic attack as well, these are going to come up. We want to think about trying to ground them back into the reality. So grounding exercises, something such as the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, that is where we tell me 5 things you can see. So you might say, oh, I can see the sky, a building, a plant, a book, and a table. Then, okay, 4 things you can touch. So you're going through the senses, and 3 things that you can hear, and 2 things that you can smell, and 1 thing that you can taste. And that just helps bring and ground ourselves and children back into the present, back into the reality. The kids might see it as a game, but actually it's something that we use in order to bring them back to this sort of calmer space. Breathing techniques as well. Look, YouTube is full of all this stuff. If you're unsure, Google breathing techniques. There'll be stuff that's on it. Google meditation, Google mindfulness. Something that we do a lot in schools, and some schools, is brain gym. So in between lessons, so that we can transition from one to another. If kids have been sitting down for a while, if you just, again, YouTube brain gym activities, there's videos on there. So you won't even need to teach it. It's on there. Someone else is doing it for you. And it's all about different movements that you do. And they help activate different parts of the brain, and also a physical side as well, which is really, really important. Don't just expect, on your timetable it says 8 till 9 a.m. is maths, and then straight away from 9 till 10 is literacy, and then you've got a 20-minute break, and then straight away we're doing this. You know, it's about, you know, we gradually bring children into the learning through that time. And then they have independent time. They might have paired work time. They'll have teacher-led time. There'll be reflection time. So don't expect that they should be writing for that full hour if they're doing something in literacy, because a lot of it's about the talking it out.
Yeah, beautiful. That's gorgeous. That's really nice.
And then look, one of your questions before was, how do we talk to kids about what's going on about COVID-19? And number 6 on this WHO, the World Health Organization, parent strategies, talks about, being open and listen, be honest, be supportive, and let them know it's okay not to know the answers. There's lots of stories going around. There's lots of fake news. Some of your children who are teenagers will be on Facebook and Instagram, and they'll be seeing probably some really horrific things. This is also a good time as well to be monitoring their social media usage and what they're doing. As a kind of, a slightly serious note here, this unfortunately is a prime time for people who aren't as lovely and kind to be tapping into the fact, knowing that lots of children are going to be on various social media platforms.
Yeah, wow. Okay, that's very good to know.
Yeah, we need to really be vigilant about what they're doing on there, who are they talking to. That is going to cause arguments. Children want their privacy, especially teenagers, but this is really, really important. A lot of people have got a lot of time on their hands, and unfortunately there are some not very nice people out there in the world, and we need to protect our kids as much as possible.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad you said that, because I think, again, it's one of those things, isn't it? It's kind of like, I've got work to do, just go on, jump online, go and do some work or something. But it is being that extra bit cautious and kind of, you're back, hello. I've got your face back now. But it is about being that extra bit cautious, because we are all online, like everyone's online. So kids are online, but also not so nice people are online as well. So that's a really good point for parents to know as well. And I think just something that you've mentioned it a couple of times through this as well, is just to add on to how to talk to them about it, is just that reassurance that this won't be forever, which is something you said a few times, and just letting them know that this will change and it will be different at some stage.
And to add on to that as well, we do need to think though about what we are role modeling to our children in terms of our responses and our anxieties around this, because yes, this might not last forever, but one little event, one little conversation can shift the way that a child sees the world, and we could be looking at down the line that this has caused long-term trauma for the children. Just like you were saying that example before about when the parent was like screaming and shouting at the kid for coming near to this woman, to you.
Meditating vegan.
Yeah, no, just stay away from that.
She's a terror.
If we are responding in this way and showing our children that we need to be constant, we're always fearful, we're always vigilant, we're always, in fight or flight mode, as we say in therapy terms, we need to really think about the lasting impact that's going to have on them, because are we going to be causing the children to not be building and growing their resilience in terms of being able to deal with things when they come up? So we do need to think about, yes, this is short term, but what are the long term possible psychological impacts that we could be having on our children by responding in the way that we are?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, everyone's stressed, and I don't have children. I know that you don't have children at the moment either. So this is all kind of said from a place of love, and it's not judging parents. But I mean, I've been witness to the meditation thing when that lady was screaming, but then my housemate Renee heard a dad saying to his son the other day, if you go near one more person, I'm going to call the police and they're going to take you away. And I was like, when she told me that, I almost my heart broke. I was like, oh my God, that kid's going to be terrified of going to the beach again. It was just, and I understand parents are under a lot of pressure, but it's kind of making those kind of threats to your kids is, like you said, and this is just coming from me being a human, not studying psychotherapy, but those kind of comments will have a lasting effect on children.
Yeah, definitely. And so if we make a mistake, own it and talk about that with the child. You're not meant to be someone who knows everything. As teachers, we constantly are getting, saying to the children that we don't know everything. It's about, this is how we learn about it, and we make mistakes, and the children love to point out where we make mistakes as well. But it shows that we're human, and we need to be showing that human side at the moment to the children. I guess a few more things with my teacher hat on that I thought might be useful, because I've been talking to a lot of teachers who are friends, but also on different various groups I'm in. Lots of people who are parents, from children ranging from 0 to 18. So lots of the stuff that I'll be talking about today isn't just my own personal advice. It's coming from a variety of different sources. What someone did say to me is you're not a teacher, so don't put pressure on yourself to be one. Teachers are trained. Teachers have had years of training. They've had years of experience. You can only do what you can do. Another thing as well, that we sometimes find as well, is that some parents want to be their child's best friend, and boundaries get blurred, lines get blurred. At this moment in time, we really need to try and keep those boundaries, because otherwise they'll just run circles around you when you're at home, because you're trying to deal with your stress, with your job, with cooking for the kids. You're trying to teach. You don't know how to do long division, and you're kind of going, what's going on? So just remember to focus on that. You are the parent. You're a role model. You are going to get things wrong, and that's fine. But just making sure that those lines don't get blurred as much as possible. Something as well that could be really great is looking at child-led play. So in kindergarten, one of the main things that we tend to do in schools are will set up different stations and different activities and allow the children to free play, to choose where they want to go. And we'll then guide them in certain ways when we need to, but allowing the children to lead that play just helps give them that sense of confidence, self-esteem, like learning what to choose for themselves, how to navigate things for themselves as well, get that creative thinking going. We need to put it back on to them as well, in order to get them to take an interest in the things that they want to do. There's another teacher reminded me of this the other day. There's so many virtual live cameras around in different places that you can take the children to museums, to galleries, to national parks. If you go to all of these different websites, there are virtual live cameras. There'll be education resources on there. You can treat it like it's a field trip, and your kids are going to know how to navigate that website probably better than all of us. So, set them challenges, set them open-ended challenges around, I want you to research like this, and this today. You come back and give me a presentation about it. Kids love that, especially going from year 3, 4 upwards. Give them that opportunity to create a presentation around something and give them that open-ended question. That could be something that could be really, really useful. Reading, we say this all the time. Reading is so important. It not only is it great for helping us relax and learn, but it helps with our writing. We always find the children who are more experienced writers, it's because of the amount of books that they read.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
So look, get creative. I was even thinking this the other day. I was like, children can be starting up their own, video links to share with each other around reading a book to each other, and making it creative, getting some drama involved in that there. Lots of books. If you don't have many books at home, there's so many books on YouTube that adults or other children have put on there who are reading them out loud, read together as a family. And it's not just about reading the book, but it's about asking questions about it afterwards. So, what was your favourite part? Why was that? What did you think was going to happen when this happened? Who was your favourite character and why? What was the beginning, the middle, and the end? Was there a moral to this story? How would you do it? How would you write it differently? Because those are all questions that show that the children are comprehending what's going on rather than just being able to read the words or listen to the words.
Yeah. I love that idea about like a drama. It's almost like a book club, but like a dramatization of the book. So it's play acting. They get to read out different lines and kind of get to have their own little mini drama classroom. I love that idea.
Yeah,
I want to do an adult version.
We need to get creative now. And look, another thing that I've been speaking to a lot of teachers at the moment. Please be kind to your teachers. They have had to get their head around a whole new way of teaching, a whole new online platform for some schools, and they're having to do that whilst still teaching, whilst preparing packs, whilst preparing individual packs sometimes for the different child's abilities. They've been coming into school, risking getting the virus, risking giving the virus to someone else possibly. They've been on the front line. There have been many teachers already talking about the emails flooding in from parents. Some of them really positive, some of them really not. And you just really need to think about what's your purpose for sending that email, and what do you really think, what impact is that going to have on your child's learning? And remember, you're teaching just your one child. These teachers are teaching 30 to sometimes 450. I've taught 450 kids before in one school year when I was teaching a specific subject. Imagine me trying to email every teacher, every parent individually, 2 times a day on specific things. So it's tough. Yeah. So bear with them. They're trying their best.
Yeah. And they're only human, and some of them have children themselves, and they're trying to navigate teaching and looking after their kids as well. So
yeah. So look, I'm very lucky. I relief teach now. My background was assistant head teacher in a school before, but I now do relief teaching because my main career is my psychotherapy stuff that I do. So I work with therapy with kids from the age of 8 and then all the way up until adults, up until I think my eldest client was 59. But so I'm very lucky that I still get to teach and I still get to be part of all of that, but I'm not having to deal with this extra layer of stress of having my own class at the moment and having to sort stuff out for that. So I'm very lucky at the moment. So hats off to everyone at the moment who's trying to deal with
yeah absolutely.
But I guess with my psychotherapist hat on, do you want me to give a few things?
Love to. Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
So obviously don't expect to be a counsellor to your kids. I'm not expecting that at all, or even suggesting that. But get them to talk about their feelings. Talk about your feelings. You know, the more that we talk about those things, the more that we can either try and de-escalate so that they don't get risen up and bring up loads and loads of anxiety, but get to talk to them about it. It's okay to feel scared. It's okay to feel angry. It's okay to feel frustrated that you can't see your friends. I'm frustrated too. But you know, what other things can we do in order to change that? So very similar to like cognitive behavioural therapy, you know, when we've got our thinking going off in one way, you know, what we want, it makes us feel a certain way. So what we want to try to do is try and find a different behaviour that's going to then help change the way that we feel and change the way that we think. So similar to that, you know, your kid or yourself are spiralling. Find yourself, get yourself out of the space that you're in, take yourself out of that room, do some breathing, find a different activity to do, try to change your mindset that way and come back to that other thing you were doing beforehand if you need to. Meditation apps we've spoken about before. This is also a really great time to learn something new. I know that I've been wanting to handstand for ages and I keep saying to myself, I need to do it. So that's something I'm going to be learning to do using some YouTube videos on there.
I can't wait to see that I'll be checking in a couple of weeks.
Good. As well, you know, like I want to relearn Spanish, and there's so many places out there that are offering. I know that Rosetta Stone, which is very popular language learning platform, are offering students 3 months for free, possibly even 6 months. And I think Babbel are doing 6 months for free on top of you normally do it as well. It's a great opportunity to learn a language. So that could be something that you could do. I also ordered some paint and some colouring pencils and a sketch pad to start doing some art, because I'm going to have some more time as well now because I'm not teaching now. Think about art therapy as well. You know, is something that is really, really important. So you can think about how getting the children to draw how they're feeling and what's coming up for them. What do they want the world to look like once this kind of ends, and get them to be creative. Journaling as well. Sorry, I wanted to add that. Journaling your thoughts and feelings. The kids, they learn how to write diary entries when they're in school. So journaling is essentially the same thing. It's where you talk about what went on in your day, what feelings came up, what you hope will happen for the next day. Writing those things down for adults or children is really, really great. Look, in terms of keeping our mental health at the positive end of the spectrum, we try to look at mental health in this way. So you've got the negative end where it's taking over, and anxieties and depression, low self-esteem, all of those things are really kind of getting really, really high. Whereas if we want to try to keep at the more positive end of the spectrum, and that's going to be really difficult at the moment for a lot of us. A lot of us are going to be going in and out. Some of us are going to be going down. Some of us are going to be able to bring ourselves back up, but we're not expecting ourselves to be a 9 or a 10 out of 10 at the moment. There's too much going on. Our routine's out of whack. People can't go to the gym. People can't go for go down to the beach. Especially something in Sydney that's really important to people who live here. So that's been taken away from us. So it's about trying to find creative ways in order to try and do that. I'm using lots of fitness apps. So Night Training Club is a free one that has like a personal trainer on there. I know lots of personal trainer friends are giving out so many free things to do at the moment on their Facebook pages, Instagram pages. I did a yoga session. I've done 2 yoga sessions on my Facebook page for friends and for people who for clients and stuff who can't leave the house because you can't leave the house at the moment. So there's lots of stuff that's out there. In terms of keeping our mental health at the positive end of the spectrum, it really comes down to a couple of things. In particular, I find when I'm working with clients, it's about having connection to other people. So when we lose connection, we feel lost, we feel alone, we feel even more isolated than we are at the moment. Technology allows us to keep us together. We've got WhatsApp, we've got FaceTime, we've got Google Hangouts, we've got Skype, we've got
House party.
Party, which a lot of people use at the moment. And if you haven't used House Party yet, House Party is a video app, online video app, but it's got inbuilt games such as heads up and trivia games and things like that. And that's really been blowing up the past week. So that could be something to try, and it's fun. We've been doing virtual pub quizzes with friends all over the world, which has been, a really great way to connect with people. So connection is really important. Try not to stay in your pajamas and hide away from the world for more than a day. If it gets where it's more than a day and you haven't reached out to anyone, reach out, because a lot of the time those people are waiting for you to reach out, and you will have made someone's day if you did. So it's a connection to others, having a purpose. So a lot of people have lost their jobs. A lot of people have temporarily lost their jobs, and for some people work is their purpose. So we need to find other things that give us purpose, and some of that will be maybe like, because if you're parenting from home, your purpose at the moment is to learn more about how to do some of the mathematics concepts, or to read more to help them with their writing, and so having a purpose is really, really important. Again, if we are just sitting at home doing nothing, that anxiety, that depression can just creep in, and believe me, when it takes over, it's really, really hard to get out of it.
So it's best if we can just to nip it in the bud, and just make sure that we're having some sort of daily connection to friends, to family, or if there are some people out there that don't have that close net of friends, so it's reaching out to organisations that can help you, like Lifeline, Beyond Blue.
Yeah, fantastic. And look, if things do get really difficult, ring Lifeline, please. They save multiple lives every minute, I'm probably going to say. They are so inundated with calls. You need to reach out if you are struggling with your mental health, please.
Yeah, cool. Oh, Chris, that's lovely. I mean, I've been scribbling loads and loads and loads of stuff down there. So I guess the sort of takeaway, I mean, there's so many takeaways in there, but essentially it's making sure that parents go to the WHO international site, which is the World Health Organization. So it's just who.int, that website. And yeah, it's just like you said, it's making sure that you're praising kids, you've got one-on-one time, keeping it positive, making sure they have that routine, and and just that bad behaviour, making sure that it's nipping it in the bud. But there's also like a praise, 3 warning kind of structure to that as well. And just for parents' mental health and everyone's mental health, it's just making sure there's a daily connection to other people, and just having a purpose, and just having a reason to get out of bed in the morning. And I do have to say, getting up and moving your body, if it's just by yourself or if it's with your kids, it gives you a reason to get out of bed in the morning. And then after that, you're a bit sweaty, so you want to get in the shower, so that's the next thing. And then you're up, you're moving. And like, I can totally relate. I lost my job 2 weeks ago. My career is completely on pause because my industry's gone, but I can honestly say, just I'm treating every single day like a work day, and I'm getting up as I normally would before work, and I'm just making sure I'm giving myself a list of things that I have to do. My house has never looked so good. Like, the pictures are up on the walls, the cupboards are all sorted, I've minimalised, I've Marie Kondo'd my drawers, things are looking great in the house. But it's been so lovely talking to you, Chris. Is there anything else that I haven't asked you that you think is important to add, or?
I guess just in terms, just having a look through, I think we've covered most things. I was thinking in terms of, I've obviously spoke about with my teacher hat and my psychotherapist hat, but I guess speaking with being a human being hat on, main takeaways: be kind to yourself and be kind to others. Show compassion. Helping others is a great way to help ourselves feel better. People in my block have been incredibly helpful in offering their time to go to shops for people who can't go, who've been isolating. People have been donating so much things. This is a great time to do a big clear out. What things can you donate to people who need things more? Have less expectations on yourself. We need to lessen those at the moment, because otherwise we're just going to put way too much pressure on. Everyone is going through this. it's not just us. We are all going through this. Some people are in a much more fortunate position than others, but we will get through this if we help each other out. Take the time, slow down, have patience. And on that note as well, about people losing their job, when this all started happening, originally I'd said to people in the travel and the hospitality industries, please get in touch, organise a massive discount for therapy sessions because it's a really difficult time for them. We're now seeing that so many industries are struggling as well. So if you are someone who has lost their job and are worried about their mental health, please get in touch and I'll organise something in the interim to try and just help get you back on track.
Yeah, and where can people find you, Chris? Because I know you mentioned your age range of who you work with goes from like 0 to 59 at the moment. But where can parents, where can everyday non-parents as well get in touch with you and latch into your expertise?
Right. Yeah. So there's the website. So it's a boring name, but it's that's what it says on the tin. It's sydneycounsellor.org. So that's Sydney and then counsellor, that's spelled COUNSELLOR and then .org at the end. There's also a Facebook page under the same name, so that's facebook.com/sydneycounsellor.org. I normally post different articles that can be really useful, so most of my clients like to use those articles that are on there. And there's a yoga video on there at the moment as well.
Oh yes, of course. Yeah, I saw that you'd been doing a couple of virtual, because you're a yoga teacher as well, just to top it off. But I saw you've been doing some virtual classes and things like that as well. So
we've got to try and find the things that bring us joy in life, and I think that might be a nice way for me to end. That we need to do things that bring us joy, and for me, it is connecting with other people, yoga, exercising, and having a laugh with friends. I cannot tell you the amount of fun I had doing the virtual pub quizzes. Just everyone from the safety of their own homes, but just having such a fun time, laughing and smiling. My cheeks actually were hurting afterwards. So do things that bring you joy. I know lots of that might be outside for some people, but use this as time to reflect and think about what you can find that will bring you joy.
Oh, that's brilliant, Chris. Well, I will definitely be checking in with you to see how your handstands are going.
Yes, please. Help me if I can. I'll go practice one now.
But thank you so much. I'm sure there are so many parents out there that are just like, thank you for all that incredible information. So it was lovely talking to you, and I will talk to you very soon.
Take care, Emma.
All right. Take care. See you. Bye.